What if the angels who were meant to protect humanity became the ones who nearly destroyed it? Not out of hate, not out of pride, but out of a longing so deep it broke the laws of heaven. These were the Watchers, celestial guardians who stood between heaven and earth, tasked with watching over us. But when they looked too closely, when they fell in love with the beauty of humanity, they crossed a line that changed everything. Their choices birthed monsters, unleashed forbidden knowledge, and brought a flood that drowned the world. This isn't a fairy tale. It's a story hidden in the shadows of the Bible, waiting to be uncovered. Let us dive into the mystery of the Watchers and discover a truth that will leave you questioning everything. Long before the world we know, before cities rose or empires fell, there was a divine order. Heaven was alive with beings of light, angels created to serve, worship, and carry out God's will. Among them were the Watchers, a unique order of angels, not warriors like Michael or messengers like Gabriel, but silent sentinels. Their job was simple yet profound: to watch over humanity, to guard the unfolding story of Earth, to stand as witnesses to God's creation. They weren't meant to interfere, only to observe, to ensure the world stayed on course. But something about humanity captivated them. The way we loved, struggled, built, and dreamed. It stirred something in their angelic hearts, and that stirring became their downfall. Imagine being a watcher, standing at the edge of heaven, gazing down at a world so different from the perfection you've always known. You see humans laughing, crying, holding each other through the night. You see their courage, their flaws, their fragile beauty. And slowly, a longing grows inside you, a longing to be part of it, to feel what they feel, to love what they love. That's where the story of the Watchers begins, not with rebellion like Satan's, but with a desire so human it broke their divine purpose. Genesis 6:1-2 whispers the beginning of this scandal. The sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, and they took wives for themselves. One verse, so brief, yet it hides a cosmic tragedy that changed the course of history. Who were these sons of God? The Bible doesn't spell it out, but ancient texts like the Book of Enoch, revered by early Christians and Jews, call them the Watchers. Their names echo through time: Semjaza, Azazel, Amaros, 200 angels who made a pact on Mount Hermon to abandon their posts. They weren't cast out like Lucifer. They chose to fall, not in anger but in love. They wanted to be more than guardians. They wanted to be husbands, fathers, part of the human story. Can you feel the weight of that choice? Beings who stood in God's presence traded eternity for a moment of human connection. It's heartbreaking, isn't it? To think that even angels could be undone by the same longing that pulls at our hearts. But their choice wasn't just a personal tragedy, it unleashed chaos. The Watchers didn't just take human wives, they shared secrets heaven meant to keep hidden. They taught humanity things we were never ready for: how to forge weapons, cast spells, read the stars, manipulate the world around us. Azazel taught the art of war, crafting swords and shields that turned tribes into armies. Semjaza shared enchantments and sorcery, opening doors to spiritual forces we couldn't control. Others taught astrology, vanity, the art of seduction. These weren't just gifts, they were a poison that corrupted humanity's innocence. Suddenly, the world wasn't a garden anymore, it was a battlefield filled with pride, violence, and blood. And then came the Nephilim, the children of this forbidden union. They weren't human, nor were they fully angelic. They were giants, hybrids, beings of immense strength and insatiable hunger. The Book of Enoch describes them as tyrants, devouring resources, waging war, even turning on humanity itself. Genesis 6:11 says, "The earth was corrupt in God's sight and was full of violence." That violence wasn't just human sin, it was the legacy of the Watchers. Their children, the Nephilim, weren't just tall, they were monsters in every sense, tearing apart the world God had made. Imagine a world where peace is a memory, where giants roam, where the gifts of angels have turned into curses. That's the world the Watchers created. But heaven doesn't ignore betrayal. God saw what the Watchers had done, and his response was swift and devastating. The flood, yes, the one we all know from Noah's story, wasn't just about human sin. It was about erasing the stain of the Watchers' rebellion. The Book of Enoch tells us God sent his archangels, Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel, to bind the watchers and destroy their offspring. The Nephilim were drowned in the flood, their bodies swept away, but their story didn't end there. Their spirits, twisted and unnatural, lingered as what we now call demons, disembodied, angry, haunting the earth. And the watchers? They weren't killed. They were chained, cast into a place the Bible calls Tartarus, a prison of darkness where they wait for judgment. Jude 1-6 says it clearly. The angels who did not keep their positions of authority, but abandoned their proper dwelling, these he has kept in darkness, bound with everlasting chains for judgment on the great day. Pause for a moment. Can you imagine the sorrow of that moment? Angels who once stood in God's light, now buried in darkness. A world once vibrant with life, now submerged under waves of judgment. The Watchers' longing led to their own imprisonment, their children's destruction, and humanity's near annihilation. It's a tragedy that echoes through time, a warning about what happens when we cross lines God has drawn. But there's a question that lingers, one that keeps you up at night. Are all the Watchers still chained, or did some escape? The Bible is vague, and that vagueness is haunting. Jude and 2 Peter 2:4 speak of the Watchers bound in chains, but ancient traditions, including Enoch, suggest not all were captured. What if a few slipped through? What if their influence still lingers, whispering the same forbidden knowledge that corrupted the world before the flood? Look around you. Our obsession with power, technology, control, doesn't it feel like we're still chasing the gifts of the Watchers? The way we build weapons, seek beauty at any cost, manipulate the world to bend to our will, it's like their fingerprints are still on us. Maybe they don't need to whisper anymore. Maybe we've learned their lessons too well. Let's make this personal. The Watchers' story isn't just about ancient angels, it's about us. They fell because they wanted what we have, the freedom to love, to choose, to feel. But that freedom comes with a cost. How many times have you crossed a line, chasing something you thought would fill your heart? A relationship, a dream, a temptation that promised happiness but left you empty. The Watchers remind us that even the most divine beings can fall when they envy the human heart. But unlike them, we have a way back. Their story ends in chains, but ours doesn't have to. Think about this. The Watchers saw humanity's beauty and couldn't resist it. But God sees your beauty too, not to fall, but to redeem. The flood wasn't the end of the story. God spared Noah, preserved a remnant, and through that remnant came a promise. Jesus, the one who restores what was broken. The Watchers' children became demons, but Jesus cast out demons. The Watchers' knowledge corrupted the world, but Jesus offers wisdom that heals. Their rebellion brought judgment, but his sacrifice brings grace. Isn't that incredible? Even a story as dark as this one points to a God who refuses to give up on us. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine a young woman staring into the mirror, feeling unworthy, chasing beauty or success to fill a void inside. The world whispers the same lies the Watchers taught. Power, control, appearance will save you. But those are the gifts that destroy. Then she hears a different voice, one that says, "You are enough because I made you." That's the voice of a God who sees her, not as a prize to be won, but as a daughter to be loved. The Watchers fell for human beauty. God redeems it. Now let's step back and look at the bigger picture. The Watchers' story isn't just about the past, it is about the world we live in. Why was the book of Enoch, which tells their tale in vivid detail, left out of the Bible? Was it too unsettling, too raw, too close to truths we weren't ready to face? Our world is still shaped by the echoes of their rebellion. We chase knowledge, power, and control, just like they taught us. But we also carry the longing they envied, the longing to love, to be known, to belong. And that longing, when turned toward God, is what saves us. The Watchers are gone, chained in darkness, their children reduced to restless spirits. But their story lingers as a warning and a hope. It warns us to guard our hearts, to stay faithful to God's purpose, to resist the temptation to chase what's forbidden. And it offers hope because, unlike the Watchers, we can be forgiven. Their fall was final, but ours doesn't have to be. Jesus came to break the chains, not the ones that bind the Watchers, but the ones that bind us. He came to heal the world their rebellion broke. Picture this one last time. You're standing in a world that feels broken, tempted by promises of power, beauty, control. The whispers of the Watcher's legacy are all around you, telling you to take, to grasp, to become something you were never meant to be. But then you hear another voice, stronger, clearer. I am with you, I made you, I love you. That's the God who sent his Son to redeem what the Watchers corrupted. That's the God who offers you a way back, no matter how far you've fallen. The Watcher's story is a tragedy, but it's also a mirror. It shows us the danger of longing for what's forbidden, but it also shows us the beauty of a God who longs for us. Their fall brought a flood. His love brings salvation. So, what will you choose? To chase the shadows of the Watcher's gifts, or to embrace the light of a God who never stops fighting for you? This is the mystery of the Watchers, a story of angels who fell, a world that broke, and a God who's still putting it back together. Keep digging, keep seeking, because the truth is waiting, and it's more incredible than you ever imagined.